Hare Krishna. Dhanavats to everyone. Questions?
Yes. There is a question from Nityananda Prabhu, Saratov, Russia. As we know, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descends once in a day of Brahma. It is Krishna himself who decides to experience that type of love that she alone possesses, especially when she feels heartbroken and runs away from him into the forest. Does it turn out that she runs away from him every day of Brahma? And does Krishna every time anew interested in her love for him?
What was the last sentence?
And does Krishna every time anew interested in her love for him? Anew. Anew. Anew together. A-N-U-W.
What is that?
Word that means together. Anew.
Yes. Anew
All right.
interested.
I see, then I have new words to learn for my vocabulary.
It's French.
Uh-huh. Ennui?
And does Krishna every time anew, A-N-E-W.
A-N-E-W.
W.
Anew.
Anew. Anew.
Oh, you mean anew, like again?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, first of all, they think of Srila Guru Maharaj saying, these are very high things to be approached with great caution. When Srila Gurudev once said, everyone knows that Srila Guru Maharaj is Rupa Goswami's man. Like that, you know. In other words, before his departure from this world, Srila Saraswati Thakur indicated Srila Guru Maharaj, Sri Rupa Nugadhara, the one who's carrying the current of Sri Rupa. And by having him sing the Narottam Thakur song, Sri Rupa Manjari Pada. So Gurudev and Guru Maharaj subsequently being known in that way. The Rupa Nugadhara, the current, the divine flow, the sort of devotion expressed by Sri Rupa, the devotional position he represents and expressed. Saraswati Thakur recognized that in Srila Guru Maharaj. Hence, Srila Gurudev saying, everyone knows that Guru Maharaj is Rupa Goswami's man. But then why is he always saying, Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai? Calling out for the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. Because Guru Maharaj would say that that should be the foundation of our devotional position. It should be based on something very deep and sturdy, strong, substantial, and that means the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. We've seen when they make a building, the first thing they do is they dig very deep and go very, very deep, and they put the so-called piles. The machine comes and it's hammering these piles, and it seems like too much sometimes. But then you see, the deeper, the greater the structure that will be built upon that, the deeper you have to go, and the stronger the foundation has to be. The higher, the greater that is, the foundation has to be deeper and stronger. So, Krishna conception, proper. Guru Maharaj, within that, he will say, these are high talks. But in general, we could say, Krishna consciousness, all talks about it in one sense are high. It is the highest thing. But as this saying goes of Guru Maharaj, dive deep into reality. Reality is not monotonous or monotonal or static. There are deeper and deeper levels. And it is always and continuously that way. So the pastimes are dynamic. But that foundation, the grace, the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, the Kripa avatar. And interestingly, you see in Chaitanya Charitamritam, the two key figures in this instance, Raghunath Das Goswami, Krishna Kaviraj Goswami. Because Raghunath Das Goswami is as Swarup Damodar is the secretary of Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Das Goswami is his assistant. And Chaitanya Charitamritam is the superstructure, is based upon the divine transcendental observations of Swarup Damodar and Raghunath Das Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami. Right? So how did Das Goswami achieve his position at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? By getting the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. Somehow up to that point, he was unable. Again, this is their play, their lila. Das Goswami is the eternal Parshada, associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Still, the story of his coming and achieving the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu is significant. And it's only by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. You know, he tried so many times before, but when he fed Nityananda Prabhu and his associates at Panihati, and Nityananda Prabhu said, now certainly you will get the grace of the Lord. You'll be able to enter there. And thematically, it means it's always by the grace of the devotees. And it seems simple to say, but it's also profound and surprising to say Nityananda Prabhu is a devotee. Because we use this term so broadly, and we know there are three categories, not that type. He's, by category or categorization, you would say Vishnu Tattva, although all the Vishnus come from him, as Balaram, really. But the point I'm making, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, Ekala Ishwara Krishna Arsa Britya, that like Brahma Sangita, Ishvara Parama Krishna. There's one supreme Lord, Swayam Bhagavan, that is Krishna. And it says, Arsa Britya, all others are in the role of servitors. And this is in the chapter that is on the glories of Nityananda Prabhu. So he is, in Guru Maharaj's words, the first other than Krishna. Sometimes he's described as equal to Krishna in every way except his form he's showing differently. So just for the sake of this talk, we can say, so he's equal to Krishna in every way. Same, but different. And he doesn't desire to compete with Krishna. He desires to serve Krishna. In a sense, if anyone has a right to be a competitor, would be his equal, but that is not in his heart. He is forever a servitor. And the most expansive servitor, as Ananta Shesh. Unlimited are his service aspirations and realizations. So he's in the position of a servitor. Right? So what does Krishna say about himself? So we hear that's the pastimes of Raghunath Das Goswami, getting the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. And he's telling him that Jai Srila Bhakti Maharaj Ki Jai, that now that you've got the grace of the devotees, he's not saying himself, but he's saying now that you've got the grace of the devotees, surely you will achieve the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? Just as it's told in a similar way to Pratap Maharaj in many instances. Even in the case of Mahaprabhu himself, the devotees are recognizing that, or he's saying, when Gadadhar Pandit and others said that he's perfect in every way, this Nimai Pandit. He's so charming. But his only, the only thing lacking is that he's not a devotee of Krishna, which is, on a certain level, mildly humorous, because it's true, he's not a devotee of Krishna. He's Krishna. So they say, oh, in every way. But even within that is something very sweet. Like Krishna, what could be an improvement upon Krishna saying, yeah, he's not a devotee. And he's descended, Swabhaktebhya Sudham Nijabhajana Mudram Upadishan, surrounded by his devotees, to himself embrace the position of a devotee. How humble that is. And in this context, in Mayapur, he's the new devotee. Right? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, he's the new man. He's the new devotee. And they notice after he goes to Gaya, when he returns, and he's full of gopi bhav, they're all congratulating him on achieving this position of a devotee. Right? And what is he saying? It's by your grace. And really it's true. Swabhaktebhya Sudham Nijabhajana Mudram Upadishan, Rupa Goswami is saying. He's teaching devotion. And what is that? That you can only get this by the grace of a devotee. So even he himself, to adopt that position, it's necessary. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, by way of introducing himself, Prem Mata Nityananda Kripa Avatar, that there are all these avatars, so-called, but how shall we understand Nityananda Prabhu? As the Kripa avatar. Right? We hear not a technical classification, like Yuga avatar, Lila avatar, different types of avatars. Not a technical classification, but something inconceivable. He's the mercy avatar. And on the basis of that mercy, substantial Krishna conception can be enshrined. That is why Srila Guru Maharaj is only saying, Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai. He's saying because when we're discussing Krishna consciousness, which is the highest thing, but certain levels of Krishna consciousness are high, higher, highest. And he said it's possible that in discussing them, we may commit some offense because they are so high. He said, so I take the name of Nityananda to reestablish myself in my safe position. So, Kaviraj Goswami saying, how did he get entrance into Vrindavan? but by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. And what is the nature of that grace? He's saying, what is that? Uttam Adam, Kichuna Vichar. He has no consideration of who is high or low. Preme Mata Nityananda means he is intoxicated with Krishna Prem. Right? So, just as an intoxicated man, he's, in a sense, lost his discrimination. There's some people around him, and he wants them to experience the level of intoxication that he has. So he's just blindly giving a taste of that substance to others so that they can join him in his intoxicated state. That's Nityananda Prabhu. He has no consideration, high, low, qualified, unqualified, just what he's tasting, experiencing, that Krishna Prem, he wants others to experience that. So, as Srimati Radharani is ultimately the source of all the Madhura Rasa Seva, Nityananda Prabhu, he's the greatest devotee and advocate for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? When he said, Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gauranga Nam. Remember, he was told by Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is now with the permission of Advaita Acharya, saying, your public service, you've more than fulfilled. The whole world is now intoxicated with Krishna Prem. Remember, it's described when Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is dancing and singing Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and flooded with Krishna Prem, if he glances at someone, they get Krishna Prem. From his lotus eyes, Ganga-like streams of tears are pouring, and he sees someone, they're filled with Krishna Prem. Just by seeing the lotus eyes, the tears of Prem coming from the lotus eyes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His glance, the glance of Nityananda Prabhu, also infusing others with Krishna Prem. So Advaita Acharya, who is responsible for his descent. Remember, it's multidimensional because it's the time for the Yuga avatar, right? And there'll be, as Guru Maharaj said, a Chaitanya avatar in every yuga. He said, but they're not always Gauranga. They're not always golden. He said, sometimes the color of a parrot. Right? But this specific one, Radha-dasyam, why is he golden? All the other colors were taken, red, and this yuga, Shama Sundar, and another one, Shukla at another time. No, they're Gauranga, all of his limbs, they're radiant with Radha-bhav, Radha-bhava Duti Subalita, because he's enveloped by the heart and halo, the heart of Srimati Radharani. The radiance is the halo. Right? So, Shama Sundar, Krishna, inconceivable dark beauty, that Krishna, due to being enveloped by the heart of Srimati Radharani, the radiance has turned him into Gaur Sundar, Gauranga Sundar. So Advaita Acharya is so merciful when he sees the suffering condition of the people in the world. Anyone can say they don't like to see people suffer. Hopefully everyone's like that. see so much suffering going on in the world, but Advaita Acharya knows the root cause of all suffering is separation and forgetfulness of Krishna. I like to make a distinction that the separation from Krishna is also the cause of the suffering of the Braja Gopis, but it's not in forgetfulness. Their separation, they sometimes complain that we wish we could forget Krishna. It's a type of, ecstatic sentiment. They're saying, we've tried. We wish we could forget him. Or stop talking about him. What do we hear? And the divine madness of their separation, sometimes they're enacting pastimes. Because I like to make this point. As Krishna wanted to adopt the position of a devotee, there's no inverted representation where the devotee wants to take the position of Krishna. Never. It's antithetical to devotion. The normal position of Krishna, you can say, is antithetical to the culture of devotion. Govindam Adi Purusham, the supreme enjoyer, the Adi Purush. Right? But then they say, no, but those gopis, when they're in separation, they're sometimes imitating. One gopi saying, I am Krishna, come to punish Kaliya. And that's in the madness of their separation. They're enacting these pastimes, imitating them. And that must be something really astonishing. But, what do they, in the Gopi Gita, right, which is where they are, Krishna has apparently abandoned. The Rasa Lila is just beginning, and then Krishna vanishes. I remember reading this so long ago in Prabhupada's Krishna book and thought, first of all, why is this in the 10th canto? You think you'd want to tell everybody about it right away. Actually, according to Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, Vedavyas does in the opening line, Janma Yasya Yataha, saying everything, Janma Adi, comes because in a Vedantic sense, you say that from which everything is coming. And in an Upanishadic sense, we say that from which everything comes, by which it is maintained, and what it will enter into ultimately. But here, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, ever the expert in from seemingly details, minute details, or just a few words, can extract the ultimate substance. And he's saying, Janma Adi means Adi Rasa, Madhura Rasa is the original. It is the origin of everything. Normally we think of the sequence as Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, culminating in Madhura. And that's not incorrect from one type of analysis. But what is astonishing is here we're being told, really, it's Madhura Rasa, and coming from there is Vatsalya, Sakya, Dasya, etc. It is all inclusive. And Guru Maharaj's words, it is the, what do they say? All other rasas are clients of Madhura Rasa, satellites of Madhura Rasa. So it is Adi Rasa, the principle. When Mahaprabhu is asking Raghupati Upadhyay, what is the supreme form of the Lord? What is the supreme abode of the Lord? What is the supreme age? And what is the supreme or the highest rasa? Best. Best form, best place, best age, best man. He says, Shamam eva param rupam. Shama sundar, as we were just talking. How do you improve on Shama? Yam Shama sundaram achintya guna swarupam. the achintya guna swarup, the inconceivable qualities of that rupa. Not just black, an inconceivable blackish, darkish color. Everything achintya guna swarup. And what is it? Kandarpa koti kamaniya vishesha shobham. So beautiful, so charming, so seductive. The seductive, if 10 million cupids were combined as one, that should make us faint. One cupid is driving everybody mad, right? According to Freud, the whole world, it's moving. The driving principle of material existence is eros. So one cupid driving the world and driving everyone in the world mad. Right? And here we're told, so take that cupid, you want to understand how compelling, how attractive, let me say Krishna, attracting everyone to the center, na, and then nourishing them. 10 million cupids combined as one. And why does it say 10 million? Because that's basically as far as our minds go, and then it drops off. It means really Cupid ad infinitum. Cupid ad infinitum is Krishna. So that's astonishing, right? So that Krishna, what was I saying before that? Oh, Shama, yeah. So he says, this is his answer. He says, all right, Shama Sundar, that's the best form of Lord. Puri Maru Puri Bara. And Mathura, which is, means Mathura, Vrindavan, Govardhan, Radha-kund. But interestingly here, it's also known as Madhu Puri. So you can say the land of sweetness, the city of sweetness, the domain of sweetness, and getting sweeter, sweeter, sweeter. Vrindavan, Vrindavanam hoiti shrestha govardhana shaila gandharvika giridhari jata krida koila, in gradations. Then he says, Kishora, that Kishore, that's the best age of Krishna. That's where he is showing his full-blown cupidity, sweetness, and charm as a teenager. Then last, Adyo eva rasopara, and Adi rasa. So he doesn't call it Madhura rasa, he's saying Adi rasa. It's the original. It's the origin of everything. So at first I think, as I said, why wait till the 10th canto? Oh, it's telling you from the beginning. But it's like 9 cantos of prerequisite. Like there are certain courses that you would take on the library party. We'd always read the catalog first and see which professors we should see. And we'd see a class and it would say, if you're going to take this class, you have to take this other class as a prerequisite. Otherwise, you can't enroll in this. Right? In other words, you have to have some qualification. Otherwise, you won't understand what is being given here. Or worse, you'll misunderstand. Just to be bewildered would be better than to misunderstand, misread, or impose some other ideas upon that. So how much prerequisite do you need? 9 cantos. Right, out of an 18,000 verse work, that's a lot. But he announces in the very beginning, first 3 words, Janmadyasya yata, etc. And then Nigama kalpatur galitam palam shukamukharam ritradavasamyatam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvibhavukaha. The Veda kalpaturu, right? This tree that has so many branches and sub-branches, it's a desire tree. Everything is there, spiritual and mundane. It's interesting that it includes the mundane. Because normally someone would defend, say, their scripture as just, it's all spiritual, there's nothing, that kind of thing. Here, it includes everything, the full spectrum of, from the gross mundane to the subtle, to the highest aspects of the spiritual. Right? And all these different some are going this way, some are going that way, then they go down again. If you follow them without understanding what the purpose of that tree is, it's confusing, or one appears to be contradicting the other. But if we understand what its purpose is, which is to produce this fruit, Prabhupada liked to render this as the fully ripened, mature fruit of Vedic literature is the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I mentioned this in relation to a mango tree. If you don't see mangoes on a mango tree and you're unfamiliar with what it is, you can draw so many conclusions or misunderstand what its purpose is. You can use it for shade, you could chop it down and turn it into firewood, make furniture, you could do so many things. That would be tragic, as to tragically misread the purpose of the Vedas. Vedaishcha sarvara ahangeva vedyo. Krishna is saying in the Gita, I'm the purpose. I am what is to be realized from all of this. So Veda Vyas, saying, so the Veda Kalpataru, the floral essence of the Vedas is the flower of Vedanta, right? It's the floral essence, right? And then that flower gives way to the fruit, right? I say, Nigama kalpataror galitam palam shukam mukad amrita darvasamyatam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. So he's saying the rasiks and bavuks, they will taste this fruit. This is said in the third sloka, the Prayojan Tattva sloka of the book. In the conclusion, in the 12th canto, in the last chapter, it says, Sarva Vedanta Saram Hi Sri Bhagavatam Ishyate Tad Rasamrita Triptasya Nanyatra Syad Rati Kvachit. And Veda Vyasa is saying, once you taste this fruit, you taste this substance, the substance of what is presented in this book, you'll lose taste for any other literature, for anything else. Once you've tasted this substance. That comes at the very conclusion, and the last chapter. And the very last verse, very favorite to Babaji Maharaj, Nama Sankirtanam. So how you're going to get these wonderful things? Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Samanas Tannamami Harim Param. Right? So that 10th canto, where this Gopi Gita, you finally read all of this so that you carefully understand the position of Krishna, how he's created everything, how he has innumerable avatars, his principal avatars, the guna avatars, the purusha avatars. So, and it's not just people like us who can misunderstand, but we're told when Sutta Goswami, he's delivering the Bhagavatam. Remember, Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyas, Vyas to Sukadev, then Sutta Goswami. So when he thinks that, they may, in hearing this list of avatars, he mentions, like Jayadev has 10 Das avatars, he gives like 24. After saying the avatars of the Lord, they're as innumerable as the waves of the ocean. But realizing that Krishna is in the list, he thought, they might think he's one of them. So that's what he says, Ete changsa kalak pungsa Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. But all these avatars, Krishna is the origin, the source of all of them. So once he's thoroughly established as Swayam Bhagavan, the original, supreme personality of Godhead, and we enter the 10th canto with the birth of Krishna. And then here is childhood pastimes with Nanda Yasoda, then with the cowherd boys, then with the Braja Gopis, and you come to this Rasa Leela section, the Panchadhyay, those 5 chapters, and it starts, and no sooner has it begun than Krishna has vanished. Do you understand? You've read all this point, and so is that an accident that it's being presented this way, or is this the perfect presentation? So he's absented himself. And what is the result of that? It's plunged the hearts of the Braja Gopis into the depths of separation. And so they're singing Gopi Gita. So what their prescription is for dealing with suffering, this is their cause of suffering, separation from Krishna in remembrance. Ours is separation from Krishna and forgetfulness. Bayam datiyad binibeshitat syad. Ishada petasya viparyayo smriti. But fortunately, cure is the same. What will bring relief? The same thing. So what are they saying in one of their beautiful songs, which Gurudev compared to the dancing of peacocks? He said, the first verse of the Bhagavatam, the dance of elephants, Janma jasya yaton vayadi taratascha arteshu. It's so grand and making this huge pronouncement about the Supreme. Damna svena sada narastakua satyam param dhimahi. This solemn declaration. He said, like the dance of elephants. He said, astonishing, but you don't want to come too close. Whereas the same Vedavyas, showing his poetic skill, when he comes to the Gopi Gita, it's Tava Katam Ritam Tapta Jivanam. It's every 7 there's one. Tava Katam Ritam Tapta Jivanam. Ka Vibir Idiham. Ka Masha Apaham. Sri Mad Atatam. Srimad Atan Bhuvi Gurnanti Te Buridajana. So like, you see, now suddenly when they're from the mouths of the Braja Gopis, it's very poetic and very sweet. So he said, like the dance of peacocks. And there they're saying, that which will save us from the anguish of separation is talking about you, hearing about you. Tava katamritam tapta jivanam. This is life-giving nectar. Srimad Atatam Sravana Mangalam Srimad Atatam. And the hearing about Krishna is the beginning of all auspiciousness and fills the heart with spiritual wealth. So that position of the Braja Gopis, which is revealed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and particularly the leader, the supreme leader of the Braja Gopis, Srimati Radharani. Ostensibly, the Bhagavad Purana, it's, as Prabhupada called his 10th canto, the Krishna book. It's the book about Krishna. But again, in the very beginning, Dharmak prodita koita botra paramo nirmat saranam satam. To enter into the mysteries of understanding the Bhagavatam, you have to be non-envious of the devotees. Right? That's one way of putting it. The inversion of that means to glorify them or glorify the position of a devotee. And this is the real message of the Bhagavatam, is to shine a spotlight on devotion, and particularly the devotion of Srimati Radharani. So Srila Guru Maharaj, in the intro to his collection of slokas, Bhagavat slokas, Gadadhar Pranam, one for Vyas, but this one is Yadamiyam Mahima Sri Bhagavatam Katayam Pratipatam Anubhutam Apya Labdavideya Tadakila Rasa Murti Shama Lila Avalambam Madhura Rasadi Sri Radha Padmam Prapadye Pada Padmam Prapadye Radha-dasyam. He's saying this is the message of the Bhagavatam. It is, although it may, again, like that tree, if you understand, it exists to produce this fruit. If a branch is going this way and one is going that way, don't be puzzled or bewildered by that. It only exists to do one thing, is to produce this fruit. So in a similar way, Pratipadam, you think every step of the way, every sloka, it's meant to take us in the direction of the service of her holy lotus feet. Arto yam brahmasutranam bharatartha vinirnaya gayatri basya rupo sho vedartha paribringhita. Gayatri basya. Therefore, Guru Maharaj is extracting the same meaning from Gayatri, same thing from the Bhagavatam. Radha-dasyam, the service of her holy lotus feet. So, it comes to the 10th canto, and Vishwanath said, then why did Krishna, these beloved devotees of him, hide himself from them, breaking their hearts, that word heartache, right? Who cannot tolerate the blink of an eye's worth of separation that feels like a yuga to them. Krishna is absenting himself. Right? And Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur says, because in separation, the heart achieves its greatest depth. When you put the maximum amount of pressure on the heart, on love and affection, that is in separation. Right? And at that time, it will yield the most superior type of Krishna Prem that is the most tasteful to Krishna. So he is addicted to that. So he's addicted to that type of Prem from the hearts of the Braja Gopis. So in Krishna's defense, he is so addicted to that substance, its yield is the outcome of them being plunged in depths of separation. So on the one hand, it appears to be cruel on his part for his beloved devotees. Right? But on the other hand, it is a tribute to the quality of love and affection that comes from their hearts at that time. Bahye Vishijalahoy, Bitore Anandamoy, Krishna Premier Adbhuta Charit. And it is that which has attracted Krishna. Right? And so, Rupa Goswami, and that superstructure of the Chaitanya Charitamritam, the introductory slokas, Anarpita, Charim Chirat Karunayavatirna Kalo, Samar Payatam Unatojala Rasam Swabhakti Sriyam, Haripurata Sundarjuti Kadamba Sandipita, Sada Hridaya Kandare Spuratu Ba Sachinandana. He said, he is coming to give what has not been given before. So we say, well, wait, Krishna, he's always appearing in these yuga cycles. So why are you saying he's not given this before? Once in a day of Brahmā, that Swayam Bhagavan, original Krishna come, and following him comes Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And he's giving the Krishna Prem associated with Radha-dasyam, which means ultimately Mahabhav Swarupini Radha Thakurani. As Srila Guru Maharaj said, when Saraswati, as we go on parikrama, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Saraswati Thakur, they also went on parikrama, so many different places. That's kind of inconceivably sweet. I think of the two of them. Like you have Nityananda and Jiva Goswami and Srinivas and who was that with him? Anyway, Narottam. Yeah. So, and then Saraswati Thakur reviving this. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Saraswati Thakur, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur let drop this enigmatic statement saying that we all know Vrindavan is for hollow, shallow thinkers. First of all, we all didn't know that. From where his plane, and also this should not be carelessly, thoughtlessly, understand the context, all important, the context in which he is saying this. Meaning, what he's alluding to is, it's the place of union. Right? So what he's alluding to, the place of separation where the heart achieves its greatest depth and yields the most superior type of Krishna Prem, that's the place. He said, that's the place for a man of bhajan. And he said, Kurukshetra. And then we'll think like, Kurukshetra, oh, you mean where Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna? That happened in Kurukshetra, but that's not what he's alluding to. What he is discussing is the meeting of Radharani and the Braja Gopis with Krishna and the queens of Dwaraka. Right? So think, after 100 years of separation, back in the Gopi Gita, another sloka, Atatiyad Bhavan Anikananan Trutiryu Twamapashyatam Kutilakuntalam Shimukam today Yada Idikshasham Pakshma Kridrisham. The gopis, they're cursing Brahma. So these are their songs of separation. They're cursing Brahma. These teenage girls who are otherwise well-behaved, and they never do anything wrong, have the audacity to curse the Creator, if you think about it. Right? Like, no, generally, other than atheists, people are not faulting God. Right? And they're saying, this Brahma, he knows nothing about how to create. I'm saying, what do you mean, Brahma, you created everything? Yes, but he created eyelids that keep blinking, and when you said, young Shama Sundaram Achinta Guna Swarupam, when our eyes are beholding the inconceivable beauty of, Shama Sundar Krishna, Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Santag Sadeva Hridaya Shivalo Kayanti, young Shama Sundaram Achinta, but I think another, what's the one? Shobhana, the beauty of Krishna. So we're beholding the beauty of Krishna, and then our eyes blink. It's intolerable. Right? That's when they're seeing Krishna. Right? And when the separation, we're told elsewhere that the Rasa Leela is the night of Brahma. We're talking about day of Brahma, night of Brahma. That when Krishna indicates the Yogamaya, it's the time for that. She assembles a yuga's worth of nights for one night. So there's this divine union for a night of Brahma. And we're told, they go, it was like the blink of an eye. Before we knew it, it was over. It leaves them in a thirsting, hankering position. They're lamenting. And the book produced by Sripad Bhakti Premik Siddhanti Maharaj, when Gurudev on his veranda in Kolkata, and we're both looking, and he turned and he goes, Maharaj, he said, Siddhanti Maharaj. I said, yes, Maharaj, it is amazing what's in this book. I said, there are things in this book that are not in the pages of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Think about that. You know. Because in the Charitamrita, we hear behind closed doors, Mahaprabhu likes to hear Krishna Karnamritam, nectar for the ear, Gita Govinda of Jayadev, Jagannath Balavanattak of Ramananda. Right, but we're also told he likes the songs of Vidyapati and Chandidas. And there's a few verses of Jagannath Balavanattak, a few verses from Gita Govinda, a few verses from Krishna Karnamritam, and nothing from, it's that high and intimate from Vidyapati and Chandidas. But we're told this is what he's doing, and he doesn't give us one example of that. You can understand, that is very high. But in this Religion of the Heart book, the Shamana, it's from Chandidas, I believe. Just for the record, there is one reference from Vidyapati when Mahaprabhu goes to the house of Advaita Acharya, and he's singing, it's Advaita Acharya singing a song that Radharani sings when she gets Krishna back. Saying, now I've got, when he's saying, now you're in my house. It's really from her, and it's very beautiful that that's being expressed by Advaita, who brought the Lord down here. So, public service, we mentioned, and gave him permission to go into the private service, private life, which we'll mention in a minute. So that night of Brahma, right? Oh, I was going to say, in that Religion of the Heart, saying, Gurudev makes the point, quoting this song of Chandidas, there is shamanam, there is no satiation in union. There's no point where they think, I've had enough. Right? They're always left in a position of hankering. Right? So they're saying, it was like the blink of an eye. But then we see, so that's on the one side. Then we go the polar opposite, separation. How can it be more intense than that? In that the blink of an eye is like a day of Brahma. That amount of separation. So then it's something that is inconceivable to us, but just think, what is the magnitude of love and affection in their hearts that the blink of an eye, they're cursing Brahma, calling him an idiot for not knowing how to make eyes properly. Right? So then factor this, so that's their response to an eye blink worth of separation. After 100 years of separation, they go to Kurukshetra on the plea of the solar eclipse that we must do some auspicious activities. So the Queen, Krishna and the queens of Dwarka and his Dwarka entourage come. Radharani, we're told in Garga Sangita, she's brought on a palanquin by the Braja Gopis. And it's mentioned that the queens of Dwarka, they hear sometimes Krishna in his sleep calling out the names of the gopis and Radharani. And then some of them say, what do you mean in his sleep? Sometimes he's daydreaming and saying these things in front of me out loud. And so they've heard from Rohini about Krishna's beloved. And remember, they are inconceivably beautiful. Rukmini, Lakshmana, Satyabhama, etc. But they're thinking, how beautiful could she be? We know the beauty of each other. How beautiful could she be? And we're told we can't discuss that. When Saraswati Thakur, when someone was describing the beauty of Lakshmi Devi in his presence, and he wanted to say something about the beauty of Srimati Radharani, he would not, and he had this internal dilemma, conflicting emotions. And Guru Maharaj said he fainted and fell out of his chair onto the floor, but he wouldn't violate that principle. But indirectly, from what is given in Garga Sangita, we get some idea. So the queens of Dwarka, they're wondering, how beautiful could she be? So they're there, and when Radharani is making her entrance, being carried on a palanquin by the Braja Gopis. We're told the queens of Dwarka, when they see her beauty, they faint. So who are the most inconceivably beautiful women in the universe and beyond? They faint to see her beauty. And it's there, so after 100 years of separation, and then when they see Krishna, Dwaraka Krishna, Krishna in the dress of a king, Rajvesh, absent his flute and his gopavesh, his cowherd dress, and absent the inseparable paraphernalia of Vrindavan, which means Jamuna, etc., they cannot conceal their disappointment. And it's at that time that Srimati Radharani, as representing the position of the Braja Gopis, that's her famous verse, Ahushyate Nalina Nava Padaravindam Yogeshware Hridi Vichantam Agara Bodhe Sangsara Kupa Patito Tananavalambam Gehum Jasham Api Manasudyat Sadhana. You think, Krishna, previously when we were feeling separation from you, you sent Uddhava with a letter telling us we should start practicing yoga and learn to meditate. God is everywhere. We didn't appreciate that. It made us very angry, actually. You're telling us, we're the Braja Gopis. We should learn yoga, or we're not yogis, we're not jnanis. If anything, we're more like karmis. Sangsara kupa patito tarana. We're just engaged in our household affairs. We're not jnanis or yogis, we're like some karmis, actually. Right? We're just interested in family life. But maybe the difference between us and karmis is we want that family life with you, and only with you. You know what is in our hearts, and yet somehow you deny that. And what is this? What kind of Krishna doesn't have a flute? And this king dress, and we like Brindaranya, right? Brindavan. Brinda Aranya, the Tulsi, and here, what is this? Lok Aranya, a people forest, and all these chariots and all these people. This is not right. This is, how you say, the way that we desire really to be with you cannot be achieved here. So come to your senses. And don't forget us, and come back to Vrindavan. Right? Then Krishna says, Mai bhaktir hi bhutanam, amritatvaya kopate distya marasin matsneho bhavatinam marapana. Krishna admits, in separation from the Gopis, saying, every day I cry. Krishna crying in Dwarka, feeling separation from them. And he's saying, by the mercy of Narayan, actually I'm always with you, because Dwarka Krishna is really an extension, so it's a mystical thing. In one sense, he never leaves Vrindavan, it's only apparent, he's always with them. He can never withdraw his lotus feet from the heart of Srimati Radharani. Yet Yogamaya is arranging things in such a way as to bring out these sentiments. So he's saying, everyone wants me, and they consider if they've got me, they've got everything, and that's true. But what about me? That's good for everyone. But what about me? He's saying, I consider it my good fortune that I'm the object of the love and affection, the incomparably pure and wonderful love and affection that is in your hearts. Na pareham niravadya samyudam. And I can't reciprocate that. You're making me break my promise that I made in Bhagavad Gita, where I said, Ye yata mam prapadyante, tangs tateva bhajamyaham. As you surrender to me, I surrender to you. But the way you've surrendered to me, I can't reciprocate it. And Vishwanath says in one place, because Krishna is saying, like you gave up your families, and I didn't do that. But who is Krishna's family? His devotees. It's all mystical wordplay. But still, Krishna is sincere when he's saying, let virtue be its own reward. The love you have for me, I'm unable to reciprocate. It's that great. Even if I give you myself fully, that doesn't clear the debt that I have to you for the kind of love you have. So then, Guru Maharaj says that parsing back to the Chaitanyastakam of Rupa Goswami, upon which Chaitanya Charitamritam is built, saying there that Krishna, saying, I cannot repay you, but when he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he's going to tell the world the glories of the Braja Gopis. And they're going to observe, like, oh, Krishna, now he's one of us. He's become one of us, and he's singing the glories of our mistress. Jadi gorna hoite tabiki hoite, kamari dare tam dehe, radhar mahima prema rasa-dance jagata janata ke. So, Basu goes saying, if Mahaprabhu had not come, we would never know the glories, Radhar Mahima, the supremely glorious position of Srimati Radharani, and Prema Rasa-dance, the limits of Krishna Prem, Mahabhav Swarupini Radha Thakurani. And the reason Bhaktivinoda Thakur indicated Kurukshetra, he's saying, because so after 100 years of separation, Krishna is before them, right? And they can't meet with him in the desired way. He said, at that time, Srimati Radharani has the greatest necessity for service from her assistants. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur's strategy was, Guru Maharaj extracted from there his aphorism, that service, according to the intensity of its necessity, draws remuneration. So here, it's reached the greatest intensity of necessity. He said, Bhaktivinoda said, so if you can go to that plane and render service there, there's no question ever coming down here again. And then Srila Guru Maharaj is saying, adding to that what is beyond the constitutional capacity of a jiva soul to experience, which means Mahabhav, for Radharani and Mahaprabhu. But Radharani, out of gratitude to her servitors, that Mahabhav, she's saying, here, have a taste of what we taste. I'm so indebted to you and grateful for you assisting me at this time. Taste this. And Guru Maharaj said, once you've tasted that, had a taste of that substance, what to speak of all other taste, all other rasas become tasteless. So when Rupa Goswami says, Anarpita charim chirat kornavatirna kalo, he's what he's giving what's never been given before. He's referencing that which is achieved in Radha-dasyam. So when someone was astonished to hear Srila Guru Maharaj describe this prospect, sort of shaking their heads and thinking like, in the, the disbelief of belief. And saying, why? And Guru Maharaj said, quoting Rupa Goswami, he says, Namo Mahavaranaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaur Tashe Namaha. He said, if he is, as Rupa Goswami describes, the Mahavaranaya avatar, right? There is no one more magnanimous than him. He said, so when he comes here, what should he distribute? Guru Maharaj said, stone chips? Like he should give out stone chips to everybody. He said, no, if he's the Mahavaranaya avatar, the most magnanimous, of whom there was no one more magnanimous, then that means not only must he give something high to those who are low, Right? That's magnanimous. Give a high thing to lower people. But to be the most magnanimous, he has to give the highest thing, what he conceives to be the highest thing, right, to the lowest people of whom there was no one lower. Right? So what does he conceive to be the highest thing? Bhakta Bhav, but more specifically, Radha Bhav, Krishna Prem. It's so enchanting, the Krishna Prem in the heart of Srimati Radharani, that she's converted Krishna into a devotee. He wants to have that experience, which he cannot have as Krishna. As I said earlier, his position is antithetical to the, because he's the supreme enjoyer. And when Mahaprabhu, after taking sannyas, stops in Remuna and the temple of Chor Gopinath, and he tells that story about Madhavendra Puri, right, and the Kir, and the chandan that he was getting for Gopal that brought him there. And what does he say at the end? That rasa kavya sloka, if you rub it like chandan, the inner meaning will come out. Right? It's all systematically presented. But at the end, when the pujari brings the pots of kheer for Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, and I think they keep 5 and send back 7, something like that, or reverse. We could say, why is Mahaprabhu so eager to taste this kheer? Gopinath, he is Gopinath. It was already offered to him, because Krishna does not eat prasadam, right? We offer the bhog to Krishna. We sing the song, Bhog Arati. So it is bhog we're giving to Krishna. Krishna tastes that. We're told, Krishna adharamritam. The secret ingredient in prasadam is nectar from the lips of Krishna. So now he's in full-blown Radha Bhav. He wants to taste prasadam. It's so sweet. That Krishna, he's saying, I want to take prasadam. Right? And then, no, but you're Krishna. No, that was different. That was as Gopinath. Then it became prasadam. Now only from the position of a devotee can you relish the prasadam. And only then the supreme relish of that comes from the position of Srimati Radharani. So, in one sense, we can say once in a day of Brahma, but we could put it this way, as Guru Maharaj says about Jagannath and Rath Yatra, Krishna and Dwaraka, that once a year, he's always feeling separation, but once a year, he becomes so overwhelmed by separation that this pastime takes place. So for various reasons, in one sense, this takes place once in a day of Brahma, but from Kaviraj Goswami, we know this is Nitya Leela, saying, as the sun, right now, it's dark here. In another part of the world, some of our viewers, the sun is rising. In another part of the world, it's noon. In another part of the world, like here, it's dark right now. So there's one sun, and this is Kaviraj, it's actually from Mahaprabhu, but in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he's saying, that one sun is eternally seen to be, from some perspective, it's eternally seen to be rising. It's eternally seen to be overhead noon, and it's eternally seen to be setting, and simultaneously. So all of those positions are eternally manifest from a certain perspective. So hence the Navadvip section of Goloka Vrindavan and Mahaprabhu, he's eternally experiencing these things, but brings it down into this plane, we're told, once in a day of Brahma. So in conclusion, then how fortunate are we if in this vast span of time, what's 500 years ago? It's like yesterday, it's an hour ago. What's wrong with us? Right? That it doesn't move. Narottam, like, imagine for a devotee of the caliber of Narottam Thakur to appear right after Mahaprabhu, it's killing him. It's breaking his heart to have just come at that time. Mahaprabhu calling his name out in his own manifest pastimes. So for devotees of the caliber of Narottam to just come just after. But again, it's pulling on the heart. Bahye Vishajalahoy Bitore Anandamoy Krishna Prem Adbhuta Charit. We're back to that separation. That it's putting the maximum pressure on the heart and it's yielding the most superior substance. So no one will ask for it or want to put themselves in that position, yet when they're in that position, this is the yield. And lastly, so Srila Gurudev saying, if you want to understand simply, directly, the essence of the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, he said, what is his tasting matter? Right? The Pidabir Navakala Kuta Katuta Garvasya Nirvasano sloka of Rupa Goswami. Saying he's relishing repeatedly separation. As Rasaraj Krishna, he knows everything there is about union. Inconceivable. We hear some descriptions of the Rasa Leela say there are 1 billion gopis there. We know 108, 8 principle, 108, but 1 billion. Another place it says there are 1 trillion. When Gurudev is saying, again, simple, different, Narayan, Vaikuntha Narayan, and Krishna, Narayan, 1 Lakshmi, 1 Narayan. Right? You see all those different Vaikuntha planets, 1 Lakshmi for 1 Narayan. Saying Krishna, Lakshmi Sahasrasatra Sambrahma Sevyamanam. 1 Krishna, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions for 1 Krishna. Right? So he knows everything about the joys of union. He is Rasaraj. He is ecstasy personified. So as Mahaprabhu, what does he come to relish? The depths of separation, that peculiar ecstatic joy that is produced in Krishna Viraha. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.